live on YouTube Horizontal. Yeah, we're doing the horizontal mambo. How are you today? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Huh. Oh, just warming up for the day, getting it going. All right, gang. Enough faffing about, as my friends across the pond say. Go on then. You love it. Rick! How we doing? Rick's going vertical. And I'm confusing myself as I often do. Time for more coffee, he said. Famous last words. Yeah. Well, guitar friends. Here's a thing that I know you've experienced, and I know you've been through the pains of trying to make the jam come alive on Zoom. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried to meet up with a guitar friend and just play, just like guitar friends do. And you run into the frozen frames, and you run into the garbled audio, and suddenly you're a cat if you're like that lawyer back in 2020. God, that clip holds up. You know what I'm talking about. So what's the secret? What's the tip? What's the deal to jamming when you're with your friends out in the remote space? We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into a lot of things today. Grab your guitar. Come and hang with us. We got friends here. This is a live workout. We're going to unpack not only the audio settings, the doodads that you need to set up so you're good to go. We're also going to talk about just proper jam etiquette in general. Here, there, and everywhere, okay? There's a way to do it, and I know you have experienced jam sessions that go swimmingly. I know you've also experienced ones that are like, get me out of here. Let me know in the comments, what was a recent jam experience you had, whether it was like impromptu or a planned rehearsal or something like that, where there was an aspect of it that went off the rails. And what was it? What was the thing that sort of like went good, bad, or ugly, as it were, as I try to get things going here on the Instagram. Scuba dooba doo doo. See if that shows up. I don't know. What do we got right here? Let's warm up right now with this exact jam we got going. This is an E. Just an E, breezy, kind of bluesy thing. Why don't we start with like the most basic E of all? Cowboy time. That's right. Home on the range. The amp died. Oh, Peter, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, now let's make it an E7. That's fun. I like that. Not mad at that. How about if we do this E7? Just the top 3 strings. Maybe the top 4 strings. What if we do this? Check this out. Top 3 strings, spell it out. Now we go. Kind of nice, right? Who can tell me what I'm doing right there? We started in Kansas with just a regular E open chord. But we're not in Kansas anymore. But we're not far. We like it. It's kind of nice, right? There's some more color pouring in now. We made the E an E7, and now we're adding a suspension. And we're getting comfortable with spelling it out. So if you were to keep playing something like that, yeah, that dominant 7th sound, Z-Rob knows what's up, Shizzle knows what's up with the suspension, right? So that regular E that we know with the E sus4, that sort of free-falling sound, that sus4 works really nicely with a 7 chord. So let's look at another example. So there's a triad. To all my people, my members out there, you know triads. Anyone watching my YouTube shorts or whatever, all I do is talk about triads. Love me some triads. So here's an E triad, top 3 strings. It looks like a D, it's just 2 frets higher. It would make sense. You would go D up to E, right? So now we're making that triad go sus4. Sus4 because that top note is the 3. It's the major third. Top being highest. Don't fall for the top being closest to the ceiling. I have to say that every week, but top is not this way. Top is up in pitch. So even though it's like closer to the floor, you know, because what if you're in space? I gotta say it. Right, what if you're in space? Ground control to major. All right, ground control to major third. And then suspension, sus4. Okay, so let's go back to this triad real quick. Let's turn this into a dominant 7. So all we did to do that, to make this regular E turn into a E7, not E major 7. E major 7 would be this, which is nice. You are so beautiful to me. Kiss me. You know, sixpence none the richer. Okay, anyway, so that E7, and now we go sus4. Isn't that nice? All right, this is our warm-up, and believe it or not, we're already jamming. Look at that. I think I'm taking on some of the mannerisms of Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. Has anyone seen that movie Friendship? Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. I'm just gonna stop the jam. We gotta talk about Friendship. It's so good and it holds up. I've watched it twice now, and it's so awesomely upsetting and funny and creepy and delightful. And you need to watch it again if you've seen it once, and watch it for the first time. Let me know how that goes, because we might be friends forever if you like Friendship the way I do. I don't know if it's possible though. I don't know if it's possible. My beloved lady, she was saying, you know, it was a lot easier to watch that movie the second time because I knew not to hold out hope to like root for anything. Anyway, there's no real spoilers other than that if you enjoy the quirky, uncomfortable comedy of Tim Robinson on I Think You Should Leave Now. Look at this. This is like an unboxing for an iced coffee. Okay, let's talk about jamming on Zoom. Okay, don't open your Zoom right now because you're already watching me, but I'm going to show you some screenshots of what, just very simply, what you need to do to make sure you're set up for success if you're just wanting to hear your guitar on Zoom. And I know this from experience, and I also know that these settings change all the time because software companies change where they put these settings and what they call them and everything like that. So of course, some of these things might be outdated or whatever. They might expire the moment that I announce them. But let me just show you. And here's the scenario. Most people, how many of you out there right now, answer in the comments, how many of you are you're sitting in front of your computer, you don't have headphones in, you're just, you're looking at the screen and I'm talking to you and you're looking at your phone or your iPad or your tablet, whatever you want to call it. If you're Android, that's fine. You're a green bubble person, that's fine. You're looking at your laptop, your desktop computer, you've got your, Windows 95 running, whatever it is, you're looking at a device so that you see me and you don't have headphones in and you're not running through an audio interface. That's most people. Now, if you have an audio interface, like a thing that you plug in to record and stuff like that, you're probably already further down the line and you understand how to get your sound into the computer. I would hope so, right? So this might not apply to you, but that's a good thing because you're probably already in the box, as we say. Your guitar signal is getting into the computer. The files are in the computer. But what happens a lot when I'm on either a one-to-one Zoom call or a group call with people is that when it's someone's turn to share and they unmute and they go to play, the travesty is that they're sitting there and they can hear themselves because they're in their own room and it's all organic. It's all analog there. They're just strumming along. They can hear themselves. And the whole time they've been hearing me coming through the speakers on their device. But the thing that Zoom and most, video calling, whether it's FaceTime or Google and all that, and I'm just talking about Zoom today because that's the main one I use, but they all have some form of audio filtering because you can imagine 99 times out of 100, they're trying to help the person on the call avoid any feedback or crazy sounds or distraction with the audio. So they filter out everything except for the human voice because most of the time people just want to be talking in meetings and like, hey, Deborah, I was wondering if you could open the spreadsheet, etc. So don't despair. but I'm going to show you what you need to do. This is exciting. This is the big reveal, everybody. Okay, you're going to want to go into your audio settings, and this is the three-step process. It could not be easier. I mean, maybe it could be. Zoom could make it easier, but that's what we're looking at. Just easy as 1, 2, 3. You need to be able to find your settings. So you're going to open up audio settings or open up the general settings in Zoom. And that's just going to be, you're going to look for the menu where it says settings, preferences. It might be called something different. But you need to be able to get to the screen where you can adjust things, right? This is where you would, whatever, like put on the cat filter and change your background and all that fun stuff. So you find your settings, you click on audio here. That's the first step. You find the audio section of the settings. There's a bunch of different things you could change. You want to change the audio settings. Step 2, on my computer, on my version of Zoom, it says audio profile. But the main thing you're going to look for is all these different sort of like, within the audio profile section, it'll say Zoom background noise remove. It'll say original sound for musicians. It'll say, live music mode and all these other different things. And this is where you need to listen to me, guitar friend. Everyone gets to this point, and then they think, well, I'm a musician. It just says live music mode. I should do that. Wrong. Unless you have your microphones and your headphones and you're really like advanced and you've got everything plugged in, do not click on that. Also, you're going to see something that says original sound for musicians. It's like, well, that's me. I'm a musician. I'm holding a guitar. That's proof from the pudding right there. It's like, no. Again, if you're on like a laptop and you're just playing with your ears wide open to the world, you're going to need to do this. You're going to click on Zoom background noise removal. And then once you click on that, you have options. And here's where you can't drop the ball. Step number 3, it's very important. Do not click on anything other than low. There's going to be auto, there's going to be low, there's going to be medium, there's going to be high. You want to set it to low. That's it. Any questions? Just easy as 1, 2, 3. Find the audio settings, go to Zoom background noise removal, and then set it to low. Then suddenly, miraculously, we'll be able to hear your guitar. And this is where it gets critical, because now you have 2 people on a Zoom call, 2 or more people that can jam together. And I'll get into the details of latency now, which is that dreaded thing that makes it so we can't play exactly simultaneously together, because the speed of data and the speed of light and all that kind of stuff, it slows us down so that the signal can't get to you instantaneously. But at the very least, you got to be able to hear your guitar. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions? And if so, I have very limited knowledge beyond just what I've experienced in the trenches. But it is valid. The one exception, and this is going to seem like it goes against what I just said, because devices and software companies, it's just a complete shit show. And I learned this when I tested one day with an iPhone, with a tablet, with my computer, all these different devices to do these test calls. It turns out that if you're on like an iPad, they don't give you all those other options. So it turns out if you click on original sound, or like I think it says original sound for musicians, you just want to look for the setting that has the word original in it. That is the one that gets you the same result of what we're talking about here. There isn't the Zoom background noise removal option there. So isn't that fun that they just sort of made a switcheroo there? But the goal is that you want to do Zoom background noise, set it to low, and then you will be able to hear what the other person is playing. And that's the beauty of it. Because again, the weird part is that somebody would be talking and be like, all right, well, I was just playing something like this. And then I'd see them doing this and we don't hear a single note. It's so crazy. Yeah, electric versus acoustic. And the case for electric would be like if you have the amp in the room with you. So if it's just sort of ambient sound, like as if it were just like a speaker playing the electric coming out of the amp, you're going to want to do this. Now, if you're savvy with this stuff and you have microphones set up and headphones, that's a different thing. And the key thing is that if you have headphones on, it's not going through the speakers. So Zoom doesn't have to try so hard to like filter out that extra noise, because it's trying to limit the chance that you're going to get feedback. You don't want that. But so those are the basic settings. And my members have gotten to know this because this week we launched our Zoom Jam Room, which is just an added feature within the community that I'm really excited about, because at the end of this jam right here, and now once we get into actual music making, we're going to head over to the Zoom Room, which is a permanent 24/7 open jam space, which I'm looking forward to not being there as much, because I'm always like hanging out with my members and I'm sort of like dad in the way, being like, hey, you kids need extra snacks? All right, well, you have fun now. And I just want to let people have a space to be able to jam and do their thing. But this is why it's so important that you got to be able to hear each other so you don't get frustrated. And now we're going to get into how to actually build the correct jam etiquette so that any jam, whether it's remotely or you're sitting on other ends of the couch, can go well. And that's what I'm most excited about to dig into. If you're excited, let me know on a scale of 1 to 4. Are you understanding what's going on? Just drop a 1 in the comments if you dig it, if you get it, and you're ready to rock. Yeah, Pop's coming down with like, I've got some lemonade, some Crystal Light, and some cucumber wedges. Does anyone else want to learn some campfire songs? I've got an E7 sus4 if you guys are interested. I mean, do whatever you want. But yeah, I sometimes feel like I'm spoiling the party. But that's why, if you guys are members, like, hop over with me after this. I'll go over there and we'll sort of have a jam, and then I'll get out of the way. But let's talk about, we made a list this week of the things that are essential for any jam session. Now just think whether you're on Zoom or if you're rocking out together in person. What do you think the number one rule is above everything, above all, always in a jam section? Zach, you're the dad of the year. I've seen you putting in the work. Zach knows what it takes, and he's a teacher. He's also got to, like, sort of reel in the crazies every now and then when the natives get restless. Listen, exactly right. Wow, Ellen, is it Ellen or Eileen? Is it? Wow, you're just nailing it. That's nothing but net. You're exactly right. Let's go over here. So rule number 1, forever and always, is listen. Listen with every fiber of your being. Listen to what you're playing. Listen to what they're playing. Listen when someone is talking. Don't noodle. Like it all comes down to those moments where you and your other jam participants get a battle plan together. You talk about what you're going to do, and you've got to listen. When someone plays you a chord progression, you've got to listen with everything you got so that you can try to catch what happened in the first or second time it goes around. Because if you're not listening, it'll be like when you shake someone's hand and you don't remember their name, and then you're like, oh shoot, I don't know their name. I hope it doesn't come up again. It's like, yeah, it's going to come up immediately in a jam session. You don't want to be that person that is dragging things down because you clearly didn't pay attention. Okay. Right after listen, I would say with guitar, especially tune. Oh my God, tune your guitar. Tune it, and tune it every chance you get. In fact, let's tune right now. One thing I did this week just to lightly troll my lovely members is that on the first jam of this week of jam etiquette, I just had my guitar like way out of tune. I was just rocking and plowing through as if nothing was wrong. And I've never incited such immediate rage amongst my beloved guitar friends, but they were vocal about it because it hurts. And do it even if you think you're sort of in tune. Do it like you should be putting on sunscreen, which is like reapply. If you think, nah, I'm good, I tuned this morning. It's like, no, you're not. You just played your guitar. Guitars want to go out of tune the moment you look away. So tune and then tune again between songs, because then when you're leading the charge by playing the rhythm part, everyone will feel like it just sits better because everyone should be tuning as well. Okay, now let's think in terms of the situation where, like, if I'm leading the jam, and this is how we're going to make it work on Zoom, okay? With 2 people, I'll get into the details, but basically, like, one person has to be the leader and has to be the person that plays rhythm guitar. Because on Zoom, as we'll talk about, you can't have 2 people unmuted at the same time and hear it happening in real time as if you were in the same room. That's just the reality of it, for the audio reasons and for the latency reasons, that it would be a few milliseconds that it would take your sound to get into your computer, get shot across the universe to space or whatever, and get back to that next person. So it does not work in a way that feels like it's grooving together. But what does work is that one person can be playing the rhythm part, and the other person can be muted on their device, which means if I'm the recipient, if I'm player number 2, then I'll be hearing player number 1 playing the rhythm part, and then I get to play along, and I got to make sure that I'm muted so that I'm not confusing them and sending back my audio. But effectively, you have 2 guitar players playing at once. Does that make sense? And for that to be successful, the leader needs to count in the other guitar player. So let's not even think in terms of like rhythm guitar player and lead guitar player, because that's not necessarily the case. It might in fact be that guitar player 1 is holding down the chords. But this is where it gets fun, because if you're both in the groove and listening, you can actually trade you can pass the baton. And we're going to do that right now before we add anything else to our list. I'll demonstrate. So I'll be the leader of this jam. And this is a perfect example because I can hear me and you can hear me. And then when I go to play rhythm, I can't hear what you're playing, but you can hear what you're playing. So when you play along with me, that's effectively two guitar players jamming together. And it doesn't take more than two people to form a gathering, to form a jam. And that's the beauty of this, is that it's a bit like a trust fall or a trust jam. I'm trusting that you're going to be playing tasty stuff in the groove that I can't hear. But you're trusting me to play in the pocket and hold down that groove so that it's satisfying and fun to listen to. And you will get the feels and you will get the goosebumps in your own digital, remotely, like condensed way. And let's go, let's prove it. So I'm gonna play a jam now in G major. So as I get together this chord progression, I want you to be thinking of what you could be playing that's tasty, that goes along with G major. And try to avoid playing exactly what I'm playing. So I'll do something like this. Bit of buzz in there. Maybe it's that crazy little pickup. Sometimes it like gets a little bit rattly there. So the chords are going to be G major, A minor, C major, back to G, and then it repeats. So it's a very simple chord progression, and you should be able to remember that. I'll count you in, and then I'll also count when we're about to end the song. So as you're playing your part, try to get ready, keep an ear out, listen for me, and look for maybe a cue where I go, da, and here we go, and, right? Just like as if we were doing a performance and playing together on stage. Are you ready, gang? A 1, a 2, starting on G major. Going well. I'm trusting you to be tasty. A couple more times. Ooh, here comes the ending. We're gonna end on G. All right. Rate how that went on a scale of 1 to 4. How did that go? How did that go? Was that making sense? Was that rockin' and lockin'? And if not, what were some things that you thought that you could sort of improve on your side of it? I thought I kind of crushed it. But there's always room for like dialing it in. Randall's saying 3. I think you're being modest. I know Randall's been putting in the work. One of our brand new members, Randall's awesome. Saw him on the Zoom call yesterday, and I can tell he's putting sweat on the frets. By the way, we always do 2 weeks free. If you're watching this right now on Instagram, comment "get good" and you'll get sent free lessons and tabs, all these amazing things that I put out there as like a welcome kit. But if you want to just kick it off and dive in with us, we do these live workouts every night of the week and many more things. There's a full package of courses within the community, and obviously we're daring each other to share our music, and it's the engine that makes everything sort of come to life and the progress really kick into high gear. And you get 2 weeks, try everything for free, and then if you want to stick around, that's great. If we don't rock your socks off, you don't pay a thing. And either way, hope you're having a great day. We'll keep on rocking here. So what I find fun about this is that if I'm playing rhythm and I know that someone else is counting on me to hold down the groove, it kind of makes me focus better. And now we'll do a version of this exact same thing, but this is where we're going to play with fire a bit, where I'm going to announce at a certain point, like, okay, now you take the rhythm, okay? So this is where you have to be listening and ready, and also you need to be prepared to switch into a different role. And so when you switch into the role of playing the rhythm and playing the chords, you got to be a little bit warmed up and ready to do that so that it doesn't just turn into a train wreck, okay? And again, you'll know because on your side of the screen, you'll be hearing what's going on. We got Danielle just love bombing us here. I don't know if there's anyone that deserves that many hearts, but I appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope you got your guitar as well. Maybe drop some guitar emojis if you do. Jeff Miller in the house. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about how we would add to this list. Because when it's your job to play the chords, what do you think might be important? Help me add to this list, gang. Whoa, iPad. malfunction. I'm just trying to scale it down a bit. Maximize, maximize. Okay. So if we were to add to this list, what do you think would be important when it comes to being able to switch back and forth between the rhythm and the lead? What do we think, gang? What do we think? So we've got listen, we've got tune, we've got count in your fellow guitar friend. And then what I would say is that you're going to want to chart it. Chart it, don't shard it, okay? So what does that mean? That means that, hey, I just told you the chords. And this one's maybe easy enough to memorize in your head, but don't be a hero. Write it down. So if you write down G, A minor, C, and then write G again, trust me, science shows you will remember that much better if you can just glance at it on the page. So that when you're in the heat of the battle and you're doing like a, and you're taking the leads and everyone's like, whoa, my face just melted off my body. And then I look at you and say, all right, you take the rhythm. You don't have a brain fart and forget what chord to start on. If you can glance up and see G, then you are far more likely to grab that downbeat, right? This makes sure that you don't drop the ball. It makes sure that you just take that off your mind. Once you internalize it, that's great. But until you have it absolutely rock solid memorized, write it down. Take a piece of paper, write it down. Whatever form works for you. Make sure you don't just rely on the other person. That's not their responsibility to keep making sure you remember the chords. This is like jam etiquette, like 101s, right up there with listen. Okay, so we're going to jump back into the same progression now. And now I'm going to pass the baton to you after a couple times around. And I'm going to do my best to keep playing in time, in rhythm, right? But you have to listen to me, because since I can't hear you, you have to sort of, you're on my train tracks right now. You'll see what I mean. Here we go. 1, a 2. You can start by playing a solo. Play some tasty stuff in G major pentatonic maybe. So here's our second time. We're going to switch after this. Oh, 1, 2, 3. You take the rhythm. I go again. Switch back, you got lead. We're gonna switch again up to this. Here we go. I got the lead. Both play the rhythm. We'll go one more time after this. Ending. So, question for you there. On that very last bit, did you hit a G chord before I did? And it's okay. It's okay if you did. Answer in a word, in one word. How did that ending go? Especially to my people that are watching. For those watching on YouTube, I think on the horizontal format, your comments engage with my bots or whatever, and then it'll do the overlay. Great. So Zach caught the ending. Jazar caught the ending. That's great. And the heads up that I gave for that final chord is about as much. You might get a little more or a little less from someone who's leading a jam session. And this will start to make sense for what you see on stage when musicians are communicating, whether or not it's a improv jam or it's like a rehearsed set list, and just a tightly tuned band will be looking at each other to get cues as far as whether we're going to do another go around of the changes, whether it's in the middle of the solo or the ending of the song. And that slowdown that we feel, that is entirely subjective, and it's up to the person leading that tempo to conduct, essentially. So if I went dun, 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 don't hit a G chord until I do, because maybe I'm gonna look at everyone and be like, this is the last song of the night and we're gonna do Good Night Detroit. And when I jump off the risers and sprain my ankle, and then I'm out for a week at least. You have to honor that whoever's leading the charge gets dibs. And if it turns out they do something really stretched out and different, let's say they throw a curveball. Let's say if it's the end of a blues, if it's like, dun, 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 and I said I'm gonna end this blues, and I said I'm gonna, if they really sort of like work it up, and then they're like, they might do something that's really laying into it, and you do not want to get in the way of that. So when in doubt, lay out. Defer to the leader of the jam. Yes. Does anyone have a fun blooper story of like something like that? Have you ever been in a jam session where things were going great, but you felt like the ending got squirrely or biffed? Because it happens all the time, and genuinely it's kind of a good reason to laugh and not take yourself seriously, even when you've been like practicing for a long time, assuming it's not like make or break and you're playing for the opening ceremony of the Olympics or something. It's not life and death, it's just music. And that's generally when you'll see musicians on stage kind of laugh at each other and be like, like we got it, or we nailed it, or we missed it, because those moments are fun. They should be sort of unscripted and completely driven by the communication, and that can sort of happen in the remote sense. Obviously it's not the real thing, but if you're doing something remotely that serves you out in the real world, it should make you feel a little nervous, like it's kind of like we're playing for keeps. It should get you a little excited, and there should be some fun, unexpected moments. That's what we love about live music that we go to experience. Some of those things that are most essential, they can happen in the Zoom world, in the video call world. So part of what I've come around to actually enjoying about this is that because we can't hear each other at the same time, it really is like the person who's leading the rhythm part is doing everyone else a solid, because they have to be solid, they have to play the groove, and they have to like just commit to that role. And they can't weave off of that and start noodling at the expense of the groove. And then the other person who's receiving that is got to really play along with it to make it sound like two guitars that are working together. So again, my members, we're going to swing by the Zoom room in a little while, and we'll do a bit of this to make sure that we've got this recipe. Speaking of which, give me a key. Anyone in the comments, give me a key. Let's do a sort of, let's switch to a minor feel, and let's do kind of a minor blues type of thing, or sort of a Dire Straits type of thing. I was reminded, I saw that Rolling Stone greatest guitarist, 100 guitarists, whatever, and it's such like sort of whatever, like rage bait, click rage bait, because like Knopfler isn't even on it. There's so many things that are kooky about that list, but buddy, auto-tune my voice. Yes, the auto-tune to the wrong key. I love that. Let's hear the auto-tune version of this guy.
Not a jam story, but I had my buddy auto-tune my voice to the wrong key, and I didn't notice it until after doing the FF program.
That's great. So auto-tune mishaps are legendary. They can be really rough. So I'm sure that was entertaining. And he's, by the way, a nice plug for the Fast Forward program. I do that a couple times a year. The next one will probably be kicking off the new year, and that's the intensive deep dive small group course that Zach is a graduate of and crushed it in there. And it's exactly what you think. It's a sort of fast forward rocket fuel version of the lessons and the workouts that we do in the community. So this is like, if you're watching for the first time, I'm Tim Fagan, guitar friend Tim. I'm a music producer and songwriter based in Nashville. And on Saturdays, I do these long extended sort of like hang out and we jam. I answer questions, and it's always hovering on the topic that we've been doing throughout the week. So this past week we did jam etiquette. And that led to the idea of opening up this new Zoom room, which is a 24/7 space within the community that people can drop into and, can meet up with each other, pick a rendezvous time and all that, and then just sort of jam. I love D minor. Big fan, as ever, with D minor. Let's talk in this jam about the idea of having a pre-flight checklist. And this is the analogy I like to make, is that if you're going on a trip and you can't take a check-in bag, you're just taking on carry-on luggage, you can't take everything. So you can't take your rock collection. You can't take every single shoe that you own, much to the dismay of some members of the audience. But if you can take the most essential things, and what that is like, take some triads that you know and love, take some licks, take some scale positions that you know are going to work in the heat of battle. So let's get into this. Let's do a little something where it's like, I like that. So that's a 4-chord loop. And this is where you already start listening. Okay, so what I like about this is that it's almost the same, but not exactly. Can you tell me, before I write down those chords, can you tell me what it is that I'm playing? Boom. Just playing nice meat and potatoes bar chords. Okay, so this would be the groove that we're playing. We're not yet kicking it off, and that's one thing. Just to reiterate, make sure that if you're feeling out the chord changes, that you don't nervously just jump into the jam without looping other people into it. Because if I were to just keep playing as if like, yeah, that sounds pretty good, and then if I don't announce when the jam's supposed to start, everyone feels a little bit like caught off guard. And it doesn't take shape the way that you would hope to. And this especially is true in person. Sometimes people will just start playing the thing and then it gradually builds, and that could be nice, but it's pretty cool, and it's a really nice gesture to show the circle of other people jamming. Like, this is what I have in mind. Even if you're coming up with it on the spot, be like, okay, we'll do that. And then the second time, you guys got to be mindful of this. The second time I go to the A minor and I don't go to the C, right? So it creates a little alternating pattern, which it's not a huge difference between A minor and C major, because they're relative major and minor, which I'm sure you knew. But you do want to be able to catch that nuance if you can. So D minor to G major to A minor and then to C. And then ditto, ditto, and then I'll just put A minor twice, just to make absolutely sure I remember that on the second time through the progression, it's gonna stay on A minor. So if you're getting your pieces together, if you're getting your travel kit together, you're just sort of the mini toothpaste and just the clothes you'll need, I would say get some riffs together and some scale positions. Is that coming from? That's coming from the guitar. So that buzzing, yeah, it's like the saddle. Like I put some more like blue tack underneath there, whatever. Sorry for that. A little added fuzz tone in there. So get some areas that you feel comfortable playing some licks that can be rhythmic. Like you might find some triads. So if I were to walk you through that just as like sort of a mini lesson portion of this, can you find like, okay, there's a D minor. Where would there be a G? Okay, there's a nearby G major right there. Okay, great. Where would there be an A minor? Oh, I could go down here. That'd be fine. And then maybe go up here for the C. Right? Having that like squared away, having sort of a battle plan, so that you don't just end up playing exactly what I'm playing for the first like 4 or 5 times through the chord changes. That's when triads, that's when you really know if you know them, right? When you can just be like, yeah, sure. Like if I give you a moment, you'd be like, okay, there's that. Like kick the tires, find those objects, get your ingredients together, figure out if you're going to need tomatoes and green onions and whatever you need for your soup, get it together so that once I kick off the tune, you're not just like, oh yeah, triads. Don't be practicing on the song's time. The song, even though it's an impromptu jam, will be much healthier if you have a little bit of this prepared and ready to go. So with all my rambling, that was your time to prepare it. Get your triads together. Those are some examples. I'll start off on the rhythm, but at some point, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you've got to be able to switch down to these basic chords and not screwing a pooch. Here we go. A 1, a 2, you know what to do. I got rhythm. bend that riff for fun. Okay, I got rhythm still. Keep working out your part here. Okay, start to get ready and think about how you're going to transition to taking over the rhythm. Here we go, you got rhythm. Switch back, 2, 3, 4. Did that sound dope? I don't know. I'm hoping it did. But you complete the picture. My guitar friend, you complete me. We're ending on the A minor, get ready. Ooh, bit of a surprise ending. Who caught it? Yeah, don't fall for my tomfoolery, my smoke and mirrors. How did that go? Just describe in the comments. Just use your words. How did that go? I have a random sound effect button, and when I hit it, sometimes the kids groan. Maybe because they loved it. It was fun. That's great. I love it. You know what is also fun? Oh my gosh. Sending me a solo. Send me your solo. And you can get the link to sending me your solo in the open gym. The open gym is what I call the space where I have my free tabs and lessons. So if you're watching on Instagram, comment, get good, you'll get that info. Boom, take your time with it, work on some stuff that you like. And then I would love to hear what you're working on. Send me your solo and you could win a free membership to the community because the community is amazing. It's a bunch of fantastic, wonderful people, many of whom are watching on this very day, right here and now. I don't know why, but they still have the chutzpah to be showing up on a Saturday to hang out with me and you, and to be checking out more of this guitar workout madness that we do. You get 2 weeks free. It's awesome. It's a great time, and the community is thriving. We're up to over 530 members now. Semi solo, and growing and thriving. So if you're wondering if you've been watching my stuff in the vertical format on the YouTube and the Instagram and the Facebook, take the leap. You got nothing to lose. Yeah, I got to sell my stuff. This is my livelihood. I love it. I've been doing this for 2 years, the teaching side of it full on, but I've been doing music for 25 years or whatever, which is crazy, but true. And I love it. I love guitar. That's my first and foremost love. I've won a Grammy for writing songs. I toured the world with Colby Calais and an artist named LP, who's amazing. But my main jam has always been guitar, and I couldn't be happier to be back connecting with it and connecting with real people. And just on the theme of what we're talking about in this video, we connect remotely, and sure enough, there's going to be an in-person hang. More details on that to my guitar friends. We've got to get together, in Nashville sooner rather than later. But the way that we're able to connect and sort of keep the energy high just from remotely doing these live workouts is magical. And that was the thing that I didn't see happening in the landscape of guitar online teaching. It was like, why isn't someone doing daily workouts? Like, I could do it. I'm good at streaming. I could hit it and be a doofus and encourage people to just get in the water. It's fun. It's a fun time. It's a fun time. Yeah, you guys are so nice. These are some of my friends here, my guitar friends. Let's add a couple layers to this, and then we'll kind of head towards wrapping up. And I want to head over to the Zoom room, the jam room, and my members go meet me over there. And you guys will be in charge of leading the jam. So don't think I'm going to go in there and continue to be, the Pied Piper. You've got to take charge, unmute, and be like, "Hey, everybody, this one's in E," and then give us a little info. What I want to talk about now is what happens when the chord progression might be a little more involved. Like if it's a song form, a song might have often an A section and a B section, a verse and a chorus. And that's the kind of stuff where it really becomes important to make sure you chart the changes so that you're not just sort of winging it and getting stuck in first gear, just trying to play the chords. But if you're able to then remember the song form, you've got to be in charge of the form. Which is so important. The form is like what we were talking about in that last riff where it went to A minor the second time through. And just remember those details that make the song what they are. along with that, you're going to want to, and this is something we haven't mentioned yet, but we were talking earlier this week, you're going to want to watch your volume in any jam session, especially if you're in person. If you have electric guitar players jamming along with acoustic guitar players, you might need to hit the electric guitar players with a neck dart. You need to tranquilize them, because once they start turning up their volume, they leave everyone in the dust. And I got to speak from experience. It feels so good to play guitar loud and be the loudest thing in the room that you just sort of like, you get a taste of that, whatever, the endorphins, and nobody can tell you to turn down. But if you can catch it early, if you can detect it early and say, hey, let's all be only as loud as our quietest instrument. So if someone's playing acoustic and that's as loud as they can go, you cannot go louder than them. Otherwise, the jam will sour and spoil. It'll cave in on itself, because all we end up hearing is that person who's playing an A minor. I know you, and you're playing really, really like you do at home, way too loud. Don't do it. So if you can reel in the volume, that gives you the best chance to do this next thing, which is to play with dynamics. And dynamics are the loud. Oh, it's going off the screen in the. Let me see if I can shrink this down on the vertical. But dynamics is what makes a good conversation what it is. It undulates. It gets non-monotone. It gets louder and softer, and there's spaces and all that kind of stuff. And now, talking about a chord progression that has two different sections, let's write a chord progression that has like sort of a loud part and then sort of a quieter part. Give me a key. Give me a key. Any key. What key do you feel like playing in? Not D minor, and not G, and not E, because we've sort of covered those. And you know what? While you do that, I'm going to tune, because you gotta walk the talk. That's what it looks like over here. Okay. C. All right. Randall wants C. Let's do C. We shall see about C. Okay, so let's do something a little more up-tempo. Let's do like, yeah, boom, bam. Okay, bit of fun there. Bit of fun that, yeah? So we've got C. F. And this I can hear in the back of my head, sort of like a train beat, like boom, chaka, chaka, chaka. So C. F, A minor. Okay, so as I'm charting this out, I'm doing what you should also be doing. You're starting to think of your pre-flight checklist. You're getting the meat and potatoes chords. You're also starting to think, okay, what else could I do? Okay, yeah, to make sure that you're not just right on top of where I am. If you're playing a part, you could be playing a lovely part along with what I just did. Whereas like that would be contributing something that I'm not doing down there. But notice that this part down here, actually I'll do this first section, this verse, a little bit quieter, which is how I did play it before. So it's like, now we've got the bigger, what we can consider the chorus. Even though there's no lyrics or melody, it still has, it moves in a way that feels like, or what I did. Yeah, so I went G, 2, 3, 4, F, and C. And then I did, yeah, and then I did G, 2, 3, 4, and then F minor. Ew, getting into some retro chords there. So if I were to, and this is where I'm demonstrating to you, so you got it nice and clearly, and this would be what you would be doing as the leader of this groove. You'd be like, okay, has everyone got it? So this chorus goes G, F, C, and then the second time, watch out for this, you make sure everyone knows F minor, and it kind of, it rings out there. So I might, if I was taking note of that, I would just make a little scribble or something to remind myself, oh yeah, we sort of hold on that. And even though I just demonstrated it to you kind of more chill, a little bit slower, a little bit quieter, it's important to the point that I'm trying to make is that, okay, this part it's a little bit louder and more robust. We're going to play it with more gusto. Okay. So this is why you'll see on, sheet music, like whatever, like andante, adagio, like mezzo forte, or sorry, there's different performance notes that they put at the beginning of the piece. That's basically like, you're happy, you're introspective. It's like just letting you know that you're in for a certain kind of attitude that you're supposed to play it with. And that absolutely can bring the juice and the flavor to your jam sessions, as long as you bring it into the fold. It's sort of a slightly more advanced thing, but you're ready for it, gang. So the verses will be somewhat more kind of contained, a little bit smaller sounding, a little more. So they're kind of intense, but it's a little more muted. So you might be playing with, if you're playing a lead or something like that, or a melody, you'd be like, right? And then you might get ready to have something up your sleeve for like something that's brighter and more peppy. This is where you get into like the music telling you what type of part you want to contribute to the song. All right, that's your heads up. I'll play the rhythm. You figure out a guitar part you like. And in fact, right after this, we're going to head over to the Zoom room. I want to hear specifically and actually what my members have come up with for this part. So you should be sweating some bullets right now. Oh boy, show and tell. That's one of the last steps here. The last steps here, especially on a Zoom jam, would be show and tell. Show and tell. Like share with people what you've been working on. Show them what you were, because they can't hear it when they're playing. That's a unique thing to the Zoom thing. And then be sure to, after the jam, unpack what it is you did. Don't noodle, just sort of share what you did. Okay, can't wait for this. In fact, I can wait for this. All right, we're gonna play one round of If They Dated, If They Made It. Here we go. I'm sure you've already seen this, but if you haven't, try to answer in the chat in time. You got to tell me what two rock stars came together to form this lovely union. So two famous musicians. This is an actual AI. We know what they would look like. What two musicians formed this beauty of an offspring? Offspring. Has anyone got it? Anyone got it? Anyone got it? You got it. Smiley and the Postman, making things lovely. All right, that's the end of that. Okay, let's do this jam. A 1, 2. No, it's more like 1. Make sure you count it at the right speed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Here we go. Here. Just looping it because we love to rock out with our guitar friends. When in doubt, you can just jam with yourself, but isn't it nicer to jam with other people? I think so. Guitar friends, thanks for hanging out. If you're one of my members, swing on by the jam room. If you're watching this and like, hey, I want to go to the jam room, you can start your free trial right now. Just head to guitarworkoutoftheday.com. We're ready for you. 2 weeks to try everything. You don't spend a penny unless you really dig it and stay with us. It'd be great. It's a fun time. Let's canoodle on this a bit just for the halibut. See you, guitar friends. I'm heading over to the jam room. The jam room, yeah. Squibbity, abba-doo-doo, yeah. Squee-doo-bee-boo, squibbity-boo.